Continuing our story, we have Vic Hoskins finally making his way out of the facility. He's a bit cut up, he's a bit bruised, and he's the last one to make it. Now remember, this was a secret facility, and he only brought 4 other soldiers with him. And being trapped in there with the Scorpius Rex, it was a lot. However, he managed to get what he needed and escape here, but it did cost, those soldiers their lives. But he hides behind a tree and hopes the Scorpius Rex doesn't smell him. The Scorpius Rex finally makes its way for the first time outside of this facility and decides that it's gonna go on a rampage. And unfortunately, it spots that Gallimimus. I think we all know where this is going. So obviously, Vic Hoskins gets off a bit easier, and the Gallimimus is unfortunately the victim of the Scorpius Rex's rampage. However, when it senses other dinosaurs, it goes off into the distance. Hoskins then pulls out a vial and says he's going to need to use this if he's going to kill Goliath. As he gets up and makes sure the Scorpius Rex is away, he runs off in the opposite direction. However, unknowingly to him, a Carnotaurus is now stalking him. And I think this kind of represents how there's still a lot of loose ends to this island. Because remember, Jurassic World hasn't been built yet. We would then go to the T-Rex's enclosure in the observation deck, where we'd actually see Claire waiting. And this is where Grimlock throws the package at her feet, saying that this is what you asked for, correct? To which Claire would pick it up and say, indeed. In that she thanks him for his work here. As they both look down at Rexy, she states that her health is a lot better than when the park originally opened, as Rexy had a case of ragged tooth. However, with this research and with this vial, they'll be able to create more dinosaurs, probably some of the classified ones. To which Grimlock says some of those creatures may not need to be alive here. Especially something noted as the Vistatosaurus Rex. And this is where, he and Claire will kind of get into it about what creatures need to be made, what creatures could bring attention to the park and stuff, and that maybe the park should actually just wait to make a new attraction here. And this is where I would have Rexy freak out, like just out of nowhere, just start freaking out. She would start snapping at them. She would begin to look around. She would begin to, kind of stomp out and just have this kind of like panic attack, if you will. And Claire is wondering what's going on. Her vitals are spiking, like she senses something that's way more dangerous than it is. To which Goliath puts 2 and 2 together. And he thinks to himself, did it get out? Is it just running around killing things? He knew the creature was unstable, but he didn't know how bad it was. And this is where Claire, turns to him and asks him what's wrong, but he's already gone. We would then see Claire looking out of the observatory on the opposite side, and she would actually see Goliath making his way through the, I guess you could say through this pre-made Jurassic World setting and into the jungle of Jurassic World here. And this is where we would also fast forward to Vic Hoskins. He's now running at this point. He now knows that the Carnotaurus is on his trail. He knows that the creature is trying to kill him. Obviously, he's hungry, gotta eat. And this is where I would have him run into I guess you could say an old building, an old observatory, or an old research facility, if you will. Now, running into this research facility, Hoskins would try to lock the door, and the Carnotaurus, which are pretty much known to go inside these, hallways and stuff that are around the same size as them, he would try to tear at the door. I think that's pretty obvious, and I think that's pretty legit for a Carnotaurus here. Especially since we've seen in Jurassic World, the Carnotaurus can go through just about anything that's around the same size as them. And now, seeing he has no other choice, Hoskins hides himself in a closet and injects himself with unstable element. This element just goes into his body and begins to corrupt and twist his DNA to the point where he becomes this purple, abominable, hulkish creature. And again, remember, element is the source of corruption and arc extinction. And with that being said here, I would actually say he mauls the Carnotaurus. he beats it down. He begins to just smash it over and over and over again. But this is when he stops, when he hears a roar into the distance. Sorry, he hears a roar in the distance. Now, fast forward, we're back with Goliath here. Goliath himself is pretty much trying to find the Scorpius Rex. But again, the creature is all over the place. But he does eat a few dino corpses along the way at pretty much relatively fast fashion. As again, free food. But using Mount Sibo, he's able to climb up and get a good view of the island. And he sees how beautiful it is, how beautiful the creatures are. And in some ways, he does feel bad that he is eating them. You know, he feels a bit of compassion, not just for the herbivores, but the carnivores as well here. Sure, he's only been on this island for like, what, a week or so? But he still has that compassion for them, though. He wants to maybe help out when this island or when this park is, up in shape. Maybe he could rein them in. Maybe he could, teach them how to interact with humans. He doesn't know. But this is where he hears a roar off in the distance and is finally able to see the Scorpius Rex taking on the Ankylosauruses, a herd of them, in fact. And this is an interesting thing for him to see, but he doesn't interfere just yet. He watches as the Ankylosaurs are able to easily fight off the Scorpius Rex because it's very unintelligent. The creature can't think. It can't really act on actual intelligence. It's acting on instinct. And this causes it to successfully, or at least, unwillingly retreat here. It sees it has no other choice but to retreat. And Goliath, seeing this, now sees his opportunity to bolt down and run at the Scorpius Rex. But unfortunately, as he does that, as he goes down the mountain at his highest speeds, or at least building up to that, Hoskins tackles him, and both of them go tumbling down Mount Sibo and both crash with a thud that is pretty much heard around the island. Both reverting back into their human form as a process, because again, he was kind of off guarded by that attack here, but not knocked out. And this is where Hoskins and him both kind of understand the situation that they're in, or at least Goliath understands that Hoskins enhanced himself somehow. He can smell it within him. And Hoskins says he was hoping that he could use this in order to kill him. To which Goliath smiles at this and turns right back into his beast form as Hoskins turns into his hulking form. And unfortunately for Hoskins, Goliath has been waiting for this for a long time. Hoskins only gets one punch in that's able to just simply, it's able to stagger Goliath a bit, but Goliath simply wails on him. Like, it just starts becoming completely one-sided. Now that Hoskins can actually take his punches, he doesn't have to hold back. Or at least he hopes Hoskins can take his punches. But just as Hoskins is on the brink of being curb-stomped and crushed with a giant boulder, he gets a second wind when Goliath feels a sharp pain in his back. Not enough to injure him, but it's very noticeable and it hurts. It hurts badly. He feels the slash in his back again, and it's the Scorpius Rex here. Not wanting to, save Hoskins, but again, just attacking something because it's far too aggressive to know when it's outclassed. Knowing immediately how to take this thing, Goliath immediately tackles it and crushes its arm within its jaws here. Hoskins sees this and sees that the Scorpius Rex is being ragdolled. However, Hoskins grabs a tree, takes the branches off and stuff of it, kind of like King Kong style, and tries to go to swing at Goliath. However, Goliath uses his tail to pretty much smack Hoskins across the battlefield, knocking him out completely. He then proceeds to kind of just tear into the Scorpius Rex, if you will, and in a fit of rage and fury, he burns the Scorpius Rex, burns it to the crisp, burns it to the ground here, and goes on to grab it by the mouth and snap it completely off, hoping that this thing is now finally dead. It's burnt, it's torn limb from limb. The sight is brutal and savage. Hoskins is able to recover, and again, he sees that he has a lot of blood that just spilled out of him, but he uses that time to retreat here. Goliath senses this and immediately goes on to go after Hoskins. However, he stopped when he smells something else here. Hoskins' blood has spilled on the floor, but it's not blood now, it's some type of solid rock, some type of ore now. It started off liquid. He can smell that it once was, or at least smell the components of it. And this is where he tells Claire to meet him at, the old observatory, actually telling her where his base of operations was. It's nighttime when these two meet here, and, everything's down, everything's silent. Security has kind of buffed itself up. The construction crew has finished the reconstruction, or at least the construction of at least the, I guess you say, the more public area of Jurassic World here. And this is where Claire actually meets him at the at the old observatory, just as they planned. And this is where he holds the ore in his hand, and he tells Claire, what is it? It's some type of element or some type of ore. He doesn't know exactly what it is here, but it smells unstable. It smells impure. Claire is a little bit frozen at this element, you're saying, right? This ore is something that they hoped couldn't be found here. And she asks him where he found it, and Goliath simply states that he found it from Hoskins when he bled. To which Claire says, there are so much more that you need to know about this situation, including about yourself. To which they actually go to this secret facility. It's an underwater facility. And as both Grimlock and Claire reach the lower levels after sneaking by security and stuff, and Goliath actually sees a Shastasaurus group just simply swimming around, and he actually admires them, even touching the glass as one comes near. Into which Dr. Wu walks out saying, they're beautiful, aren't they? Almost about to transform, Dr. Wu says, wait, I'm not here to harm you. To which, honestly, Goliath says that's kind of hard to believe, but he wants them to get straight to the point here. And this is where Dr. Wu pulls out shows a hologram of his DNA. Goliath can definitely tell it's his, as it kind of demonstrates it, right? So Dr. Wu goes into detail about how his DNA, his blood, is something so rare that it's never been seen. Yes, you were born human, but you remained changed. When we gave you this form, this Goliath-like state, we just throwing random DNA into you, but somehow your blood stabilized it. And as he's doing this, Grimlock walks around the line and he sees many things. Vampire corpses. He sees a giant snow owl, and he's amused by it. And he asks him, what is this element? What is this thing here? And Dr. Who begins to explain how each experiment, each creature here was enhanced by the element, enhanced by this prehistoric metal, or his prehistoric radiated metal. And Grimlock even sees statues, or at least, other experimentations of frozen creatures. Sauroposeidon, Maeve Megaraptor, Dreadnoughtus. All these creatures were enhanced by the element. However, he sees this skin imprint, this fossilized skin, and it looks normal, like it's been untouched for millions of years. However, when he reacts to it, and again, Dr. Wu is explaining to him everything about the element, everything about the ore, he touches it. And Dr. Wu himself says, your blood is a direct descendant of one of the few creatures that has eluded me for so many years, eluded science for millions of years. To which Goliath looks at him, and he wants him to get straight to the point. What is he? Why is his blood so perfect? And Dr. Wu can see this and tells him that he is a direct descendant of the King Titan, But that's going to be all for today, you guys. Please comment down below, like and subscribe and share with your friends. This is Legendary Grimlock, and I hope you guys have a blessed day. Peace.